testimony. I was forced to go to the grand jury, and I'm forced and compelled to come here today.
The certification of that election was fair. The election was fair and won outright by Joe Biden. Despite that, we know that Trump was telling his supporters that that wasn't true, right? And encouraging them to go to the Capitol that day on January 6th. So the committee wants to understand more about exactly what happened then and before that in conversations that Trump had with some of these strategists, including Bannon.
People who want to build the wall.
Right, he's directing Bannon not to answer questions in this probe, and he sued the panel separately to try to stop Congress from obtaining documents from the White House under his term. The committee argues Bannon has no legal standing to rebuff them or their demands for his testimony to appear before the committee, that subpoena, right, and documents that they've asked for. Trump's lawyers, though, argue Bannon shouldn't disclose that information because it's protected by privilege by the former president. They say, Bannon's lawyers even say he shouldn't cooperate until a court determines whether or not these privilege claims hold some merit. But what we know from the Biden White House is that this White House doesn't believe that those claims hold any merit. And neither does the committee. They believe that Bannon needs to appear before them to respond to a congressional subpoena and to provide the documents and testimony that they're asking for. The select committee will then vote on a resolution to decide whether or not to hold Bannon in contempt. After that, it goes to the full House of Representatives where they vote on that resolution and then decide whether they send a criminal referral to the Department of Justice. And ultimately, it's up to federal prosecutors whether or not they bring a criminal case against Bannon. It'll be up to the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia whether or not they want to pursue criminal charges in this case. And if so, the statutory maximum would be a year in jail. But what's really important here is what happens, whether the House will actually vote on holding Bannon in contempt, and then what happens after that. Because if the Justice Department doesn't prosecute, Democrats have long argued, that ability, their inability of prosecutors to bring these charges or unwillingness to bring these charges could lessen the power of Congress. People being able to not respond to congressional subpoenas is a major concern for lawmakers. It's important that they have this kind of teeth to threaten people, right? They have a subpoena, that there's a legal obligation to respond to that subpoena, to appear before them. And if not, they believe that there needs to be some accountability for that. In this case, in the form of a criminal referral to the Justice Department and potential prosecution.